Hey YouTube, welcome back to our channel ToonPang. We're back at it again with the children's card game, you know, the usual.
I'm here too.
Yeah, Jaden's here too. We're just at my house sorting cards and decided to do a deck profile. Now, I've seen the thumbnail. This is a dino deck build with a bit of a twist. And I'll show you the twist after. It's like my little spicy tech.
The twist is it can't be Droll and Lock Bird.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I'll get to that.
Yeah.
Alright, so the profile, here we go. Run the one Doggerin, pretty standard. This is good to out things like ABC Buster Dragon because they can't break it. They can't just pull it apart and then like get their 3 pieces back. This just stops that. As well as other boss monsters. I can't really think of anything right now, but it's just so good to out things like ABC Buster Dragon. 2 Ultimate Conductors.
Also, with the kaiju, it's searchable, isn't it?
Oh yes, it's searchable off the Soul Eating. You just normal this and add it to hand if you wanted to. Alright, but 2 Conductors. 3 is always cloggy. Like if you start with 2 in hand, it's pretty much a dead card. And this is pretty much a turbo build. Like everything is just super fast. This build just gets everything out. 3 Soul Eating. This card's so good. Basically, on summon, whether it's normal or special, you take a card from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the grave. Now, both these cards are really good depending on your situation. Really, really good. Plus, it also has the effect where you can destroy one other level 4 or lower monster, a Dinosaur, on the field. And then special a Dinosaur you control from the grave in defense position. So that's also a really good effect, and you can resolve both effects in the same turn.
And that includes the token you give them with Lost World, doesn't it?
Yes, so I do run Lost World, and when you summon, when you activate Lost World, summon this, give them the token. If you've got something in your graveyard, if you activate his second effect, destroy the baby, the token, but Lost World prevents that destruction, and you can destroy a baby from deck. But if you do destroy the token, you can also get that extra special summon, which is really nice.
You didn't know this is actually Blake's favourite deck, and it's like his baby. He's done so many different builds of it.
It's taken so long to get this to how I want it. Like I've gone my ups and downs with it. Like one build I'll be really upset, one build I'll be really happy.
People always judge him for like this particular build, but it's really interesting because in this meta, there's not a lot that can like do anything against him.
Yeah, it's so funny because it just avoids so many outs. But anyway, 3 Baby Cerosaurus. I'd say this is probably my main engine of the deck. Like I rely on this card so bad. Between that and Petite, but they all do the same thing when they're destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Special summon a Dinosaur from deck. The Baby special summon is a bit more meaningful because it's level 4 or lower and you can still conduct battle, whereas Petite, if you do the summon, you can't conduct battle, but you can use the Petite to summon your Doggerin from the deck, but
because Conductor can't be special except by his own effect. Right?
This is, yeah, but this one I only run at 1 because running at 2 is too cloggy, and the effect isn't that great compared to babies. Sometimes I'd want more Baby Ceros. Like I can go through 3 Baby Cerosaurus in 1 turn, and then like finishing with Petite during my opponent's turn is just nice because I can just end during my opponent's turn.
And you can just ditch it from deck.
Yeah. 1 Giant Rex, obviously, because you're going to banish it off Conductor's effect to summon himself, which is you're just netting yourself another summon. Tyranno Infinity, because this cheeky build I kind of rely on getting my Miscellaneous out, because you just banish 4 from your graveyard and then summon this from your deck, and this comes out at 4,000 attack. But if you have this in the graveyard as well, your specials are the Giant Rex, and then this will be 3, and this will be 26. I do believe. I
remember you had such a love-hate relationship with that card.
I always hated this card until I finally perfected this build. Like this card was, to me, it was just pointless because I'd only ever have it at like 2,000, and like if I summoned it, it could get Effect Veiled or Lost Winded, some stuff like just so many outs for it. But
because if you guys didn't know, Conductor can only activate his effect once per turn. Oh, well, like he can pop a Dino and do his effect.
Yeah.
And if they somehow out that and they somehow play through that, he can special summon. He can use the Miscellaneous Engrave to special summon the Tyranno Infinity from deck. Isn't that right?
Yes, that is correct.
And then he's got a big beat stick just on field.
Yeah, I can end board with like after summoning the conductor and then destroying the baby, summoning this from deck, this will come out. It'll be at 2000 initially, but when you've done things like activated Miscellaneous' effect to summon a baby from deck, because you can use its effect to banish itself and one other to summon a baby, and then that'll be in the graveyard, and that's stacked, so just keep stacking with all the banishes, so this just becomes up into 4000, 5000 attack.
It's a really good card to extend your plays, keep you alive, do whatever you need to, really.
Now, this is where it gets like my spicy tech, because the way I built this deck is really funny. I run 2 Dinosmasher X's. I was running Dino Rabbits for a long time, and like that was how my build was, because like I don't know,
old format.
Oh yeah, it was just old format, and like I didn't want to really go in buying all these hand traps, because modern day dinos require a lot of hand traps to run with double pills, but I don't run the double pills in this variant because Droll and Lock is still a very like hit heavy card, and this build just really goes around Droll and Lock, so I just run these two. Plus these two, a lot of things can't out them, like things that negate effects on field. Like these don't really have effects, they're just 2000 beat sticks, and if you have Lost World on the field, Lost World negs your opponent's monsters 500 anyway, so like these will probably be able to beat over pretty much anything. Now I'll also explain why I run 2 of these coming later in the video, because it'll explain a lot, but I run 3 of Vecvailer. Oh my god, I'm probably in love with this card for the new format, because you run Gokis, they summon Suprex, you effect Veiler their Suprex, they pretty much die, or if you wait, just like be like a really big tease and wait a bit, and then they get out their Isold, and you effect Veiler their Isold, they just pass 10, they can't do anything, they just
it's definitely worth waiting for the Isold, honestly. Because they still have so many players, all the special summonable monsters there in the hand, like the butterfly and the trap that just becomes a monster, and the new Sky Striker engine and stuff. It's definitely worth waiting for the Isold.
Yeah, there's just it just outs everything. I really love this card. Next, I run for spells. That's all I run for monsters. For spells, I run 3 Lost Worlds. This is because this in conjunction with the babies and the normals I run, it just all ties in perfectly together, and like the protection from you get from the token, you just give it to them, like especially like as well as again ABC's Union Hanger has to target to get their equip from deck, so this makes them miss that. So it's such a good card. Obviously 3 Terraforming to search it out, because you always want to see it on the field. It's always helpful to see, especially in this build. This build kind of like turbos more off the Lost Worlds. Next I run Drill Fossil Digs. Good card. Searches all your dinos. Like there's no reason not to play this. If it adds an extra 3 copies of every other dinosaur you're playing. I run 3 Call by the Graves. I always hated this card, to be honest. Like I always refused to run it in this deck. Like I realized going up against any hand trap heavy deck, it just outs them. Like it was so good. Plus they're seeing another ABC player. I think it was Jaden actually, but he got 1 piece in grave and then got 2 pieces on the field, went into a link putting the other 2, and then I Call by the Grave 1 of his pieces, and all he had was this like really little link monster, and then nothing else he could go into. So.
Just want to point out, I still got out my ABC.
Yeah, there's so many things you could do, but this isn't always useful. Like if you're not versing a deck that relies on cards being in the grave or activating in the grave. Plus, I will say I never realized the second effect of this. Like when you do banish a card from the graveyard, the cards and effects with the same name cannot activate their effects or cannot be activated. So
really good late game against any deck, really.
Yeah, but it worked really well in my favor. So I decided to like main deck it. On to the next card, Foolish Burial of Goods. I'll come back to why I run this. This is, standard if you're running any
crazy good card, actually.
Traps or spells that resolve in the graveyard. But 1 Monster Reborn. This is actually really good for reviving Ultimate Conductor late game, because Ultimate Conductor can be summoned from the graveyard if you summoned him first from your hand. So if you summon it and they Tarantula it or something like that, or Solemn, then you can just activate this and bring it back, and they just kind of feel the hurt from that. They just wasted a card and took all that life. 1 dark hole. This can trigger off your babies, and if you have a normal monster or they have the token, you can prevent the destruction of that token or your megalos by destroying a baby in deck. Once again, that's like this contributes to as to why this deck's a like turbo babies. Yeah, because this just destroys your babies and
Can't overlook. It's also just a crazy good board wipe.
Oh yeah, it just wrecks board. Then the reason why I run Forge Burial of Goods, triple Survival's End. This is so good. Plus, because I'm running the
no one expects it.
Because I'm running the 2 Megalos, I'll summon the Megalo. If I have a brick 10, I can summon the Megalo, set this, pass turn, and then activate it, special or soul eating from deck, or just something like that, and like my opponent just doesn't expect it or know what to do. And
when Blake came to me, honestly, when Blake came to me with this build, saying he's running triple Survival's End over the double pills, and I said, man, you're absolutely nuts. It's insane. Like, what are you going to do, a new format and whatever? And then he was explaining the deck to me, and we were doing a couple test games. My hand traps did virtually nothing to him. I ended up siding out my hand traps just to verse him to make it an even game, because it's ridiculous. Like the Survival's End / Foolish Burial Goods play, it's unexpected. He's got first game kind of with the element of surprise, and then second game with the side-ins is just it's very surprising.
Yeah. It's just such a good card. Plus, when you combo this off, like if you if you summon a baby, for example, while elsewhere's on the field, you give them the token, and then this is in grave, you just banish this, destroy the token, prevent the destruction of the token, and you destroy your baby, and you just get 2 free special summons. So that's like that's why I just love this card so much. And then you can, or if you have like your opponent has pesky back row or like a hard thing to get around, this just gets rid of that. It's just free spot removal. Double loss wins because, like I said, if you go first, like I said with the effect values, if you went first and you got this like semi-established or good established board, and then you come against the players like Goki Nightmares or Mermails, when they go into their first summon, like their Divas or their Suprexes or their Izolds, you negate that effect of their monster, then they just have to pass turn, and this is a permanent negate, unlike Effect Valor. So like Effect Valor loses the negation.
It's like running 5 Effect Valor.
Yeah.
Oh, not to mention, if you have the dead Foolish Burial of Goods, you can literally Foolish Burial of Goods for the Lost Wind, because they trigger from grave when your opponent special summons.
Yeah, that as well as that. If you've exhausted all your survival ends, like you've drawn into 2 and like used a 3rd later with one of your foolish, and you draw in a 2nd foolish late game, you can just send these if they're using an extra heavy deck, because if they summon an extra deck monster, you just set this from your graveyard, which is still really, really nice.
And let's be honest, who's not running an extra heavy deck in Link format?
Yeah, exactly. My last trap for the deck, I run 1 Solemn Judgment because
there's no reason not to.
It's Solemn Judgment. It just outs everything. Nothing can stop it, except maybe like a Solemn Judgment.
Great part about this deck, you don't need the extra deck.
Yeah,
too much, do you?
I'll explain like times I've gone into the extra deck with this, but like I don't really go into the extra deck that much. But onto the extra deck, I run 1 Sayuja.
Nice pink sleeve, man.
I just gave it the designated because I run blues. And it's just it's so good. It needs its own sleeve. 1 Deco Talker. Best, my personal opinion, still the best Link 3. It's just so good. On my next Link 2s, I got Nightmare Cerberus, Nightmare Phoenix, and Nightmare Goblin.
You make Phoenix so much.
I make Phoenix more than anything because a lot of people side, Imperial Iron Walls, which basically neither player can banish cards, and in Dinos, whew, like we can play around it. Like the build I have can really play around it. You don't need to go into Conductor, but if you like,
because you can just search the Doggerin from deck.
Yeah, you can just go for Doggerin and like special from you. You can special Doggerin from your graveyard. You can do all these crazy plays.
That play just goes big beaters though.
But sometimes, like, if you're in a situation where they have a bigger beater than you, like, for example, if they had if you're versing, can't think of anything, I don't know, big, maybe Blue Eyes. If you're versing Blue Eyes, the only thing that can really get over some of their monsters is something like Ultimate Conductor, and if they have Imperial Iron Walls, this is really the only way to get rid of it besides running Tornado Dragon, but I just prefer Lynx over anything else because it just gets the material straight to the grave to go into Conductor. Goblins, man, are pretty standard, and as well as Cerberus. I just prefer Phoenix over everything else.
In case you can make Goblin, it's just extra normal summon.
My other Link 2s I run is Underclock Taker. Oh my god, this card's actually really funny to go into. You're going second, your opponent's got this like big board, like all these big monsters or whatever. You just go into this, use the materials off this to go into Conductor underneath it, and then Underclock Taker's effect, your opponent's monster loses 3,500 attack, and then you just attack into that 0 attack monster with 3,500 attack. They just take all that damage to the face. Next, after Underclock Taker, I run 1 Proxy Dragon. This can be good. I mean, like, you can... if it's destroy... Oh, actually, no. That's what I run this for. But I forgot. The effect, unlike Decode Tribute, this destroys the card it points to protect. And, so, you can... If you have a baby next to it, you can just destroy the baby, which is... better,
yes. Even though there's like a million triggers.
In some cases, but like I don't resolve this as much as I'd like to, or like should. Next for Link 1s, I just run the 1 Mermaid because like Ibly is a very painful card to run around. This is the easiest way to get out. Plus, I go into Phoenix a lot to remove things like Imperial Iron Walls, as I've said. But like once you've got the Imperial Iron Walls, you go into this. And everything loses 1,000 attack if it's not co-linked. So like, if my opponent hasn't co-linked and they're just running just a bunch of random shenanigan cards, and you have this on the field, they all lose 1,000 attack, but so does Conductor. But it doesn't really hurt Conductor as much if you got Lost One on the field. So there, your opponent's monsters lose 1,500 attack, and yours only lose the 1,000. But with Conductor on the field, it doesn't really matter. You're still doing a lot of damage off of your Conductor. But on the XYZs, I run 1 Paguska. I don't really go into this as often. This deck doesn't really need to go into it because like Conductor is just such an overpowered card. You don't always need this.
I know we fucked up when they made that card.
1 Castell.
Good spot removal.
This card, yeah, it's good spot removal if you remove 2 materials and then you use the materials to go into Conductor, obviously. But also, if you've already got Conductor on the field and you've got something pesky on the board, then you've got nothing to destroy with Conductor's effect. Yes, you could probably destroy this, but that like maybe you want to swing for game, like with the 5,000, that'd be an OTK. But like if they were low on life. And then, but the first effect, you discard one material and set 1 card they control, and then Conductor can just send it to grave, which is still really nice instead of just returning it to hand.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that first effect.
Yeah,
he's got an interesting interaction with Conductor actually.
Yeah,
people might want to look into that.
1 Abyss Dweller, still a really good card as a floodgate. I go into this relatively like versing decks like Light Swans and Vampires.
Depending on the matchup,
this just kind of really just kills them. Run 1 Lagia, and I'm gonna run 1 Dolka, but I don't own it. It's on order at the moment, but I'm gonna get it really soon. I'm gonna be really happy for that because
it's an option.
Like Lagia is good, but only situation. You can only do it once. For Dolka can do it up to twice. This is basically a walking Solemn Judgment, and this is a walking like effect veiler packed with a Ghost Ogre in it because it negates the effect and destroys it. But I go into Lagia so much, like religiously, because it's just a walking Solemn Judgment, and there's no going wrong with that. Your opponent has to play around this before they do anything. Plus, if you have this and Conductor on the field, they have to like worry that like, oh, do I want to get rid of the boss monster, or do I want to get rid of the thing that's gonna
the Solemn Judgment
out all my plays? Yeah,
it's like a visible Solemn Judgment. Strike the fear of God.
My next 2 cards are on 1 Bahamut Shark and shit, I got that. Totally awesome. This is probably really random. I only run this because I don't go into the extra deck that much, and I had a lot of room. Like some of this, I probably like didn't need. It's just in there for like I can use it. But this is because I run the Dinosmasher X. And if I get 2 on field and my opponent has a link marker pointing up, I can just go into this and then get Toad in my link zone because I don't use link zone.
He has this weird fascination with Toad right now. He's really trying.
Because it's totally awesome, dude.
Yeah, and the totally awesome in Bahamut, obviously you can replace them with other Link monsters or whatever you have in mind, because you run them just because you can.
Yeah, I just such a good card. I love Toad as a card, and if you get both out of the field, or not even him, if you get out the Toad from him, and your opponent pretty much just has to like.
Well, you resolve it. You resolve Toad in that deck. You're a god.
Yeah, like it's not hard. It's just like there's better plays you could do. I just read it because I can.
Well, I mean, like talking about like the main stuff you go into, there's only really like 5 cards.
Yeah. Yeah. On that note, yeah, like in terms of the extra deck, the dinos don't really need to go into this extra deck. Like cards, probably 5 or 6. Like in a tournament or like in any duel, I probably go into like in one duel like these 6 because Walking Solemn Judgment, and then spot removal as well as I just want to be mean if I get this out, like just neg my opponent 3500 attack and then just take it all to the face, and then I only resolve this every game because I resolve these 2 every game, so like I always just finish with the mermaid.
Yeah, anything pointing down.
And then I always go into the decode just for the protection. Like going first, I go into decode and then just sit and protect all my monsters during my opponent's turn with like maybe conductor on the field, and then it'll just works out for the good. But yeah, that's the that's the extra deck going onto the side.
Yeah. Can't wait to get it as a Dolker.
Yeah.
Another really good card. Too bad they're dragons.
So good. Yeah. They get their attack negged because Lost World negates the reduces 500 attack from all non-dinos, and they're not dinos, which is so sad.
But their effects are too good not to run.
Yeah. Going under the side again. I run a 3rd conductor.
Obvious.
Just in case, like. You might go into game 1, your conductors might not be enough, like you might have to like turbo them out and constantly and just burn out your resources too quickly.
Your opponent's running the full Solemn Brigade.
Yeah, if they're like running 5 Solemns and
all the outs.
They just out all of them, you just 3rd's always nice to have. I run a 3rd Megalo because game 1, if they play and I find out they're running Imperial Iron Walls, or they side in Imperial Iron Walls and go into like an I don't know about game 2. I side out the Tyranno Infinity for this. It's
almost a definite every time in Dinos that they side in the Imperial Iron Walls during game 2.
Yeah, so like siding this in instead of replacing the Tyranno Infinity, because I'm never going to get the Tyranno Infinity up to enough attack. So just having this another target for the Survival Ends and protection from the Lost Worlds. This card isn't a dead card. It still ends up being really good. Plus, with having that, there's just more chances of going into my totally awesome. Anyway, I only run 2 monsters in the side. For the rest, I run Double Twin Twisters for pendulum plays. I only run 2 for like I said before, pendulums and I guess things like Altergeist. But it's a bit hard to time against Altergeist because their timing is so good. So these kind of miss. It'd be better to run something like Wiretap or Red Reboots.
Yeah, Red Reboot's probably in Dinos because you guys have a lot of OTK potential.
Yeah. I run Triple Earth Shattering Event for all those vampire dino.
The 3 people that know about the card. You might want to explain it.
If you don't know what this card does, basically if a card is sent from deck to the graveyard, doesn't matter who did it.
It's a continuous spell or is it a field spell?
It's a continuous
So it doesn't disrupt Lost World.
Yeah. So basically when a card is sent from if a card, it's not when, so you can't just trigger it whenever, you have to trigger this. But when your opponent, like in Vampires, mill with Light Swans or they send a grave in Vampires, this will activate, and basically it reads, you can send 1 card in either player's graveyard back into the deck, so you can send the card that they just milled or they just sent on purpose, and then for the rest of that turn, they can't send cards from the deck to the grave. So basically their turn for Vampires and Vampires, Light Swans, Burning Abyss, their turn kind of shuts down or really, really slows down because of this card. They get no mill, they get nothing to send to grave because they can't. And it disrupts, so like, if they need to get a Fairy Tale Snow to grave, they'll send that, you trigger this, send Ferrocell Snow back into the deck, and then they can't mill for the rest of the turn.
But not only that,
so good.
Not only that, if they send something that sends another card to grave, because I know a lot of vampire players will be like, oh, send this vampire to send another vampire. You can trigger something in your own graveyard and bounce one of your resources that you've already used back into your deck, and they still can't send anything to the graveyard for the rest of that turn.
Yeah. So you could recover your cards, but they still lose that middle. So it works for both graveyards, which is a really good take.
Very versatile and spicy.
Yeah, for grave decks. I run 1 Soul Charge. I kept getting told to main deck this, but I prefer to side it because dinos are very OTK based. Like they wipe the board and then they do the damage. But if you can't conduct your battle phase, you're not doing any of that damage. And then come the next turn, you're getting hit with Raigeki, Dark Hole.
Torrential.
Torrential,
Interrupted
Kaiju Slumber, all the outs, but just because you didn't attack, like that attack, that one battle phase could have costed you the game.
Not to mention the new time rule and stuff.
Yeah,
good to side if you really needed it, but
yeah, like I run it because like it's good to have just in case going first turn, like going first, or like during the second round, but in the third round when it goes into time, or not even time, when it goes to the round, this card it's just a dead card. You can't do anything with it. So it's just, I'm probably going to take it out. Triple Compulse. This card, no one expects it nowadays. Now, especially now that it's at 3. Like, for example, if you're running you're versing an ABC or a
it feels powerful.
Isolde, I guess. I think this can trigger before Isolde because Isolde is once per turn, or you can. But yeah, if they get out their ABC Buster Dragon, return it to the deck, they lose their materials, they get nothing, they just end.
If you still prefer strikes or whatever, go ahead.
Yeah, you can still run like the triple strikes if you want.
Do whatever you want.
Or, yeah, you can build it however you want. This is just my preferable build. Except this card, this is probably going to come out. Double Torrential Tribute, good going first card, because like if you go into second round, you're going first, if you have this, you just set them. If you have a baby on field, or if you have Lost World and a Dinosmasher X on the field, you can protect it with this, get your free special summon, like you special your Soul Eating from deck, get your free search or ditch. There's just no reason not to run this. Yeah, plus if you're running this, Dark Hole, as well as Survival's Ends.
Feeling really spicy, Raigeki. Interrupted Kaiju Slumber.
That's right. I'll probably swap this for a Raigeki, but then you can run a Raigeki, but you're running so many board wipes. Like, even Conductor's effect, setting everything and then sending them all to grave. I'd count that a board wipe. Yeah, it's just a good card going, really good card going second. Going first in the second round.
If you get to that, yeah.
1 Solemn Warning to complement the Solemn Judgment. Things like things like Isolde. If you get rid of their Isolde, you just negate it, destroy it. They just end. Their turn just finishes. They have nothing to do. And 1 Imperial Order against. This is mainly for.
Fucks over so many decks. It's not even mainly for anything. It just fucks over so much.
You're probably complaining like it probably affects the deck heaps because like you're very spell heavy.
You could say Sky Strikers or whatever, but it doubts so much more than Sky Strikers.
I know. I just run it because like Sky Strikers have become a thing. But plus in this deck, you're probably like complaining about like how like there's so many spells like the Field Spell, the Fossil Dig, Terraformings, Dark Holes, just all the spells that trigger. But they can't go off without this. Well, most of your plays happen on your first turn, and then like even if you've lost World on the field, you've already used Lost World for its purpose to like cycle your babies and get all your free special summons. So just flipping this on your opponent's turn, it doesn't hurt you at all, especially if you've already got Conductor on the field. You've already done what you need to do to win. Just flipping this just kind of squeezes your opponent into a little ball and makes them want to curl up and cry. It hurts so much to flip this. They can only really get rid of this with Phoenix, and it's pretty hard to go into Phoenix if, like...
Use your resources, go into Phoenix, use Phoenix,
yeah, even
use
if they have
resources.
to go into Phoenix to get rid of this.
You've accomplished something. The card always does something.
It just sucks.
It always... what's important is it always demands a response.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my spicy build with the Megalos and the excessive use of the Survival Zens. Because like I just really love Survival Zens, free removal.
This deck can't be drolled.
Yeah, plus you Droll and Lock. I played a few games like against. I think it was the same Mermaid player that I effect failed their Diva, but I went first and activated Fossil Dig, searched for my Soul Eating, and they drolled me. I think they were expecting me when I summoned my
double pill.
Yeah, when I summoned Soul Eating, I think they were expecting me to send Atlas to add the double pill, but I didn't. I just ended up doing a completely different play to that, and they just couldn't do anything.
Got Conductor.
I got Conductor out, and then past turn, their turn 1, they got out their Diva, and then I just effect failed it, and they end, and then next game I just won. So it took me 2 turns to win. So it was really, really good. So yeah, I really love this build. It makes this actually really makes me happy about this deck.
And I know this video is already really long, but before we go, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's the encouraging comments over the past week have been really good.
Yeah, our channel is still pretty young. We're still growing, and all the support we've been getting has been really, really good for us.
Encouraging, really. So we like to thank everyone. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Comment what you'd like to see, what you think I could change to make this a little bit better, and what you'd like to see in the future.
If you think it's bad, it's your opinion. You think it's really good, comment. It's unique, and if it can be different, we like doing it different.
Yeah, we like going against this whole everyone's net decking. It's like the copy and pasted version of every deck. Our channel is all about making the little spicy, witty, retarded.
If you see a deck list online, and you can see clones of the deck list online, see if we got one, because our deck list is most likely going to be different.
Yeah, these are all very to our tastes. These aren't copying anyone. They're not specifically for the meta. These are just fun competitive decks.
If they end up copying someone else, we apologize. We don't think it should, because it's just what we like.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by our channel. Like, subscribe. Would really help us out a lot for our young startup. Yeah.
ToonPang out.
See yous.
The apocalypse.